GTA 6 is probably the most anticipated game ever made. The trailers broke records, the hype has been building for years, and everyone has an opinion on the price, the delay, and the release date. But somewhere in the middle of all of that, a completely different kind of story came out. One that most people probably scrolled past without fully stopping to read. It is a story about a family, a terminal diagnosis, and Rockstar doing something that genuinely caught a lot of people off guard. Because it really looks like they let a dying fan play GTA 6 before anyone else in the world. So let's go through exactly what happened and why this story deserves more attention than it got. So it starts with a guy named Anthony Armstrong. He works as a UI integrator at Ubisoft Toronto, which means he is actually in the industry. He knows how these companies operate, he knows how protective studios get around unreleased games, and he understood better than most people exactly how unlikely what he was about to ask for really was. In December 2025, he posted on LinkedIn, reaching out to anyone in his network connected to Rockstar Games or Rockstar Toronto. The post was personal and it was urgent. A close family member had been battling cancer for years and had just gotten the worst news possible. Doctors gave him 6 to 12 months to live, and Armstrong wrote something in that post that stopped a lot of people mid-scroll. He said his family member is a massive GTA fan, and that with this diagnosis, he probably would not be around long enough to see GTA 6 come out. Best case scenario, this man would be leaving them the same month the game launches. He was not going to make it. What he was asking for was a private playtest. His family member lived just a short distance from Rockstar's studio in Oakville, Ontario, which made the whole thing at least logistically possible. And Armstrong was not being unrealistic about it. He said straight up that he understood why secrecy mattered at this stage of development, that an NDA made complete sense, and that he was not asking Rockstar to put anything at risk. He was just asking them to give one person in the last months of his life a few hours with the game he had spent years looking forward to. The post spread fast. Screenshots went well beyond LinkedIn and started circulating on Twitter, Reddit, gaming forums, news sites, and then Armstrong updated it. The update was just 2 lines. Armstrong wrote that Strauss Zelnick, the CEO of Take-Two, had personally reached out to him and that they were now waiting to hear back from the Rockstar team. That was it. 2 sentences that quietly said everything, and then the whole post disappeared. The original and the update both gone, which honestly tells you more than any statement could. The most obvious reason something like that gets deleted is because something real is being arranged behind the scenes, and NDAs make talking about it publicly a problem. Armstrong never said the request was turned down. He said great news was coming, and then it all went quiet. Rockstar and Take-Two stayed completely silent after that. But here is the thing. The CEO of one of the biggest gaming companies in the world personally reached out to a family who asked for help. That does not happen for requests that are going nowhere. And to understand why that is actually a big deal, you have to appreciate what Rockstar was being asked to do here, because it is easy to just call this a feel-good story and move on, but the complexity involved in saying yes to this request is genuinely worth understanding. GTA 6 is the most tightly controlled game in development on the planet right now. Rockstar's security around this project is legendary at this point. The 2022 leak, where footage from an early build spread across the internet within hours, was one of the most significant data breaches in gaming history. The person responsible ended up in legal proceedings. Rockstar spent years after that tightening every layer of security around this game, and the closer they get to release, the higher those stakes get. So letting someone from outside the company sit down and play it, even in a controlled setting, even with a legal agreement in place, is a serious undertaking. Internal approvals, legal preparation, logistics, and a genuine level of trust in the person sitting across from you. That is what saying yes actually required, and it looks like they said yes anyway. And the person at the center of this was not asking for a quick look. He was asking to actually experience GTA 6 in a real way, a game his whole life as a gamer had been building toward. That is what was on the table, and that is what Rockstar appears to have given him. And here is the thing that makes this feel less like a one-off and more like something Rockstar actually believes in, because they have done this before. Back in 2018, right before Red Dead Redemption 2 launched, a young man named Jurian from the Netherlands was in the final weeks of his life. He had been fighting neurofibromatosis type 2, a rare hereditary disease that causes tumors to grow on the nerves throughout the body since 2004. He had decided to stop treatment, and one of the things he had been holding on to through all of it was Red Dead Redemption 2, a game he desperately wanted to play before he died. His father Harm reached out to Rockstar Netherlands, and Rockstar said yes. Within a week, 2 employees traveled to Jurian's home and spent an entire afternoon with him, letting him play the game. When the afternoon was over, they took the copy back with them because they had to, and Jurian said he completely understood that. He was just grateful for the hours he got. He later went public with the story himself, not because Rockstar told him to or because they put out any kind of announcement, but because he wanted people to know that a company had done something kind for him and he thought that deserved to be said. Rockstar confirmed it quietly when asked and left it at that. They did something generous and never made it about themselves, which is honestly a harder thing to do than it sounds. And Rockstar is not alone in this. It is becoming something of a quiet tradition across the industry, and it is worth knowing about. Around the same time, Jurian got to play Red Dead Redemption 2. Nintendo allowed a terminally ill fan to play Super Smash Bros. Ultimate before it came out. Bethesda has a long history of honoring seriously ill fans, sometimes through studio visits, and sometimes by putting them directly into their games. Fallout 4 and Starfield both contain in-game tributes to fans who passed away before those games ever launched. And then just a year before the GTA 6 story, a 37-year-old Army veteran named Caleb McAlpin posted on Reddit asking if anyone could help him reach Gearbox Software. He had been diagnosed with stage 4 terminal cancer, given 7 to 12 months to live, and he was a lifelong Borderlands fan who was not sure he would make it to Borderlands 4. The post got nearly 20,000 upvotes and eventually found its way to Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford, who emailed McAlpin directly and promised to make something happen. Gearbox flew Caleb and a friend to their headquarters in Frisco, Texas on first-class flights. He got a full studio tour, met the team, met Pitchford, and played a build of Borderlands 4. When he posted his update on Reddit, he said it was an experience he was grateful for in a way that was clearly hard to put into words. Pitchford called him a legit gamer who knows Borderlands inside and out. Just 2 people talking about a game they both love, which is really all it was. What all of these stories share is that somebody inside a large company chose to say yes when the easiest thing would have been to say nothing. That is worth something. It would be dishonest not to mention that Rockstar is not without controversy right now. The same weeks this story was happening, they were facing serious criticism over the firing of more than 30 developers amid allegations of union-busting activity. That is a whole separate conversation, but it is worth acknowledging. A company can do something genuinely good and still have real questions hanging over it at the same time. But what this story does is remind you that inside even the biggest studios, there are individual people making individual decisions. Someone at Rockstar saw Armstrong's LinkedIn post and chose to escalate it rather than scroll past. Someone at Take-Two decided that Strauss Zelnick should personally reach out rather than let it disappear into an inbox somewhere. GTA 6 is going to be one of the biggest cultural moments in gaming history when it launches. It will sell tens of millions of copies and dominate every conversation for months. And somewhere quietly, one person who may not make it to that launch date has already been inside that world. He has already seen what Rockstar built. Not because he leaked it, but because somebody decided he deserved to. The post was deleted, the company stayed quiet, they just did it and went back to work. And honestly, that says more than any press release ever could. Anyway, if this was interesting to you, subscribe and stick around. There's a lot more Rockstar content coming on the way.